Hello, you multitasking, multifaceted maltmates. You know where you are. It's the Whiskey Bothy, and it's my end of the year. Specifically, it's the end of 2024. I have the fire on here, keeping the bothy cozy. The flames are flickering in the grate. It used to be called wood, but now we call it biofuel, because that makes it more environmental. Hey, the world is changing around us, and that change is accelerating. And accelerating change is certainly something which is not just impacting you and I in our personal lives, but impacting the global whisky industry that continues to try and persuade us to part with our money for the whisky and other quality spirits that they produce. And this is why we need to get the knowledge. We need to undergo a certain amount of apprenticeship to develop our own personal palates of smell and taste, and take our time with it, because you can't rush it. But most of all, we want to enjoy it, which is why we might join a whisky club or go to a whisky festival or participate in an online whisky community, which is something I recommend you do. Wee glass of Mortlach to finish the year. As you can see, with the Scotch Mist, it's not an official bottling. It's an independent bottling. This one was from Signatory, from their 100 proof range, and I'm absolutely delighted with it. It is a wonderfully entertaining alternative on Mortlach, right? So that rather than a standard signature that we tend to get used to from official bottlings, it's a deviation from that and gives you a different perspective. And it's thoroughly engaging and it's wonderfully enjoyable, but at the same time, I wouldn't recommend it for beginners or people that are maybe just a couple of years into their journey. You need to allow your palate to grow and develop before you move on to these more complex and demanding malts, the high strength, unchill filtered, natural coloured ones that don't have E150 colouring in it. But I'll be coming back to that shortly. 2024 has been such an interesting year for all of us. I noticed that the industry, certainly in the UK, with the bureaucracy, the red tape, and the obstructions that local government put in the way of small distilleries trying to develop their brand, has never been worse than it is now. This is really unfortunate because there's not huge margins. In fact, there are very modest margins in the majority of whisky sold, because very, very few bottles are actually at the high end, the higher age statement, the fancy containers, and the even fancier prices. And although you and I may be tempted to consider these bottles, I'd highly recommend that you thoroughly do your research first, because unfortunately we can end up with diminishing returns on our investment. We presume that the more we pay, the more we get, and that, frankly, does not translate most of the time in these bottles. We are spoiled at the moment, certainly in the UK and in Europe, with the new small generation of distilleries coming through, producing very interesting whiskies at a young age, sometimes too young, particularly for the price they're charging. However, they've got to learn from their experience, and if they put out too much overpriced, under-matured whisky, they'll see their sales fall off very, very quickly. It's as simple as that. 2024 has been a year of price inflation. First of all, it started with the 30-year-old single malts, and the prices went through the roof. Then the 25-year-old, the 21-year-old, and it's come down to 15-year-old whisky now. There are occasional bottlings appearing where the price is absolutely batshit absurd. It's bonkers. I'm surprised the distilleries are taking a chance with their reputation, particularly in the relation to the quality of what they're bottling. Because a discerning and experienced nose and palate, spending a bit of time for this very expensive whisky, will soon find that it's probably been finished, not terribly well finished, and basically been pumped out there just to feed the FOMO. FOMO, of course, being the fear of missing out. And people are getting caught up in that. It's worse than bourbon, where the literally lorry chasing that's going on for consignments and small batches and restricted allocations, it's completely over the top. And any sensible bourbon drinker is staying well away from all that nonsense. But it's affecting Scotch whisky as well. And we have to be very wary of getting caught up in that. It's the same sort of fever that you get when you're bidding at auction and you don't quite want to miss out on the bottle you're determined you're going to get, and therefore you start to pay more than you're supposed to pay, more than you've budgeted for. At this point, let it go. And I'll tell you why. Because before you know it, there'll be another equally as interesting bottle around in the next auction and the auction after that, and their price will be far more accessible. There are bargains to be had at some of the auctions at the moment, as investment grade quality, investment grade, I don't know why I use the word quality, investment grade whisky value plummets. In legacy media, they're saying it's going down 40%. Here in the Bothy, I'm telling you, it's going deeper than that. There are people trying to privately sell their whisky collections that they invested in and discovering that they're getting pennies on the pound or dimes on the dollar. That's what they're being offered, because it's increasingly a buyer's market. 2024 saw a lot of changes as regards the temperament towards drinking whisky. One thing I noticed is the passive consumer, the occasional whisky drinker. In other words, the sort of people who buy in travel retail, the people who buy in supermarkets, they're just not buying anymore. They're finding reasons to walk away from alcohol. For the sake of their health, for the sake of their bank balance, for the sake of their well-being. More and more people, I think, are waking up to the cumulative effects of the modern lifestyle in causing cancer, diabetes, heart disease, dementia, and other modern illnesses, which have always been there, but much more so nowadays. People are looking at all the factors which they are told through legacy media and from health experts are bad for you, and they're cutting them out. Unfortunately, what's not being made clear is that the poison's in the dose. If you're drinking half a bottle of whiskey a day, you've got a problem. If you're drinking a small glass a day, you do not have a problem. It's moderation, and this is why we need to keep it quality, not quantity. You'll have noticed, Maltmates, and I need to mention this, that I've been a bit grumpy in 2024. I've had my angry jacket on. You probably noticed. It's been angry jacket year because I've been encouraging myself to review less quality whiskies that are more available and very recognisable, and I have been disappointed with them, and whatever I paid for them has been a waste of money. That will be changing next year. I'll have a different colour of jacket, a more peaceful colour of jacket, and I will be focusing more on quality. Perhaps it will be less available, but that's just the way it is. I don't want to be getting grumpy and then starting getting all conspiracy about how big business is out to harvest us for more and more, for less and less. They can only do that if we're prepared to participate and pay up. And that is not what we're going to do. I will continue to buy whiskey, pay for whiskey, open bottles of whiskey and review whiskey that I have bought with my money from my Patreon income and the little bit of Google income that I get. And by the way, just while I've mentioned Patreon, a big shout out to all my Pat pals. I hope you've enjoyed your Bothy Live extras and additional controversial content that I have provided for you throughout the year. I've really enjoyed your company, and by the way, your contribution and engagement in the Patreon Discord channel is just phenomenal. And a big shout out to Mirko and Scorchio, who are the moderators of my channel. Guys, for another year, you've done another fantastic job. Thank you so much. The thanks don't end there, by the way, because I've got to thank the OSWA team. The OSWA, because you'll find a link down below if you don't know about it, is the Online Scotch Whisky Awards, the most transparent, democratic, vote-led, public vote-led whisky awards system online, and it's fantastic, the shortlist and the calibre and quality of the winners that are selected. If you're just getting into whisky, whatever your experience, and you want to know what's what and where's where and who's who and how's how, the OSWAs are an absolute #1 place to go. And hosted by myself and the ever reliable, the engineer behind the machine that is the OSWA is Roy Duff. Big thank you to Roy, and also to our helpers Chuck and Rob, who behind the scenes have been managing and doing a fantastic job of all the enormous data crunching, over 40,000 votes, getting all sifted and put into order and recalibrated, and checking spelling mistakes of distillery names, which is to be expected. So to Rob and Chuck, great big thank you there. And the quality of social media has been phenomenal, fantastic, and really, really well balanced. The OSWAs will continue into 2025. Roy and I have discussed it, and thank you, yes you, if you have participated as a channel, as an individual, in compiling the shortlist for the OSWA categories, all 9 of them, and also if you've voted, participated and watched our live stream, which is one of the online Whisky of the Year events. It's firmly on the calendar now. And a big thank you to all the distilleries and bottlers who have participated, turned up and shared a little bit of banter in the OSWA live stream. It's innovative, it's genuine, and it's fresh, and it's new. If I was to give you some advice for 2025, Maltmates, it would be to be careful with your budget and focus on quality and not marketing hype. We're seeing more and more, I mean, it's highly entertaining, don't get me wrong. It's simplistic because it has to be, to appeal to the indifferent, lazy, passive consumer who's just wanting to collect a bottle of whisky to see in the new year. And the brighter the box and the blingier the advertising message that beams out on the video screen at the travel retail, the better. I mean, good luck to them. I'm sure they'll enjoy their experience once they get a thick enough tumbler and put enough ice into their whisky. Then they'll enjoy it. But one of the problems that faces the modern palate is it's so overwhelmingly controlled by the sugar rush. The modern standard diet, and I'm not saying the modern Western diet, I'm talking about the modern global diet. It's all about sugar because sugar is addictive. And young children, even parents don't realise all the pre-prepared baby food is full of sugar. It's got to the stage that putting ordinary sugar into ice cream does not render it sweet enough. And therefore the producers are putting artificial sweeteners in with the sugar to make the ice cream sweet enough to appeal to the dulled, decommissioned, flatlining, sanitized senses sense of taste of the modern consumer. The more sugar you have, the less flavour is needed. This is why confectionery doesn't really taste of much until they add the oil extract flavourings. So be aware of this. If we rearrange our diet, not only by cutting out sugar, not only do we inhibit the development of cancer, because cancer feeds on sugar, that's a fact, but we actually dramatically improve the quality of our health generally by eating fresh, self-prepared, home-cooked food made using raw ingredients which frankly have got more nutritional value. And the better we are physiologically and psychologically from clean eating, the more we can use our senses, our sense of smell and our sense of taste, to actually enjoy the good things in life, including quality spirits. It's always a sign of enhanced nutrition. From fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, you simply get more flavour when they're grown properly in soil. Just sharing. This has been an interesting year as a distillery has failed. A distillery has gone into receivership. Waterford in Ireland. What I notice is a huge amount of bank loan debt owed to HSBC. That's Hong Kong Shanghai Bank Corporation. Huge bank. Very, very, very big. Very much at the centre of things, you know. And the problem with financing any business through the banks is banks will assess what makes them the most money. And that means if the failure of the business actually creates more money for them, then they'll go with that option. That's the problem for one of the problems for small businesses is how do you get your finance? Angel investors are only angels while their investment looks like it's going to give a reasonable return. But the problem for small distilleries is the sheer capital cost and running costs, which are so much greater today than ever before. The bureaucracy, the red tape, the health and safety, the taxation demands, the obsessive, outrageous taxation demand by HMRC in terms of customs and excise duty, which is an absolute imposition and on the Scotch whisky industry. The main advantage is that it makes so much money for the royal coffers that obviously they want it to remain, but still, if you've got any plans for opening a distillery, think it through very, very carefully. You're probably better just putting your money into a passive index fund. It will give you a more consistent and more reliable return, and a lot less headaches, a lot less stress, and probably a longer life. That's the fact of it. Something that I would like to just share in passing from 2024 is that my channel here in the Bothy has now exceeded 50 million views. I've got something like 185,000 subscribers. I haven't checked for a while. I should check again. But thank you all very much, because I know that some of you have been with me for the last 15 years. You've been with me since 2009, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's a milestone. And by the way, all these subscribers are genuine subscribers. I haven't gone to a company in Vietnam and bought them. There are other channels out there, not necessarily whisky channels, but I can think of one that shows all the signs of having bought subscribers and is in the process of buying comments, because it can be done. So when you're choosing an online channel, be very much aware of this. You'll find the smaller channels that haven't suddenly grown outrageously in a very, very short space of time are generally the more honest ones and the more reliable ones. What's 2025 got in store for us? Well, more of 2024, but worse for the distilleries. People don't have the money. The rent's gone up. The energy costs are gone up. The taxation's going up. The bureaucracy's going up. Always more and more bureaucracy. More and more people who get paid to appear to do something whilst doing nothing. That's the definition of bureaucracy. People are buying less. People can afford less. More people are interested, but even more people are just shunning alcohol altogether, particularly in the young generation, because it doesn't go well with cocaine and the other recreational drugs they're consuming, on top of prescription medications. So they're just cutting out alcohol altogether. I know certainly in the rapidly growing global gym culture, or in the fitness industry, alcohol is... You will struggle to find more teetotal, non-alcoholic or alcohol-averted people anywhere. People don't touch it because it inhibits protein synthesis. Yeah, look it up for yourself. This is a very, very clear indicator of how rapidly things are changing. In 2025, we're going to see a few other distilleries going under, unfortunately. Distilleries that have too high a debt burden and they're not gaining traction rapidly enough because it's taken them a while to find the quality of the signature, and they're spending too much on aesthetic costs, like cafeterias at the distillery where people are not buying tea and buns and scones because the tour buses are not going there. This is something distilleries have to be aware of, is to stick and focus to their primary mission: making good quality spirit, sourcing good quality casks, enabling good quality maturation, and delivering it simply to the market, directly to the market, and honestly to the market. This brings me to my distillery for the year 2025. I better conclude now. I don't want this video going on too long. What's it going to be? It's going to be the return of a previous winner. Why? Because I want to send a very, very clear message to the Scotch whisky industry with this video, that 2025 is absolutely going to be the year where people are looking, because they're aware of it, for honest quality delivery and consistency with affordability. It's not rocket science. I've selected a whisky which is a previous winner because it does all these things, and the distillery is in fact in 2025 celebrating 30 years of production. Here it is. Again, Isle of Arran, 10-year-old, single malt, simple, practical, elegant presentation, no fuss, no flannel, no BS. It has Braille on the front label. I cannot understand why mainstream distilleries, big companies, are not putting Braille on their labels. I just don't understand it. It is so blinkered not to do so. The value of the marketing message of this level of integrity cannot be understated. 46%, unchill filtered, natural colour, and it doesn't just say so on the label, it says so clearly on the label, where you can actually read it without the necessity of a magnifying glass. Why more distilleries are not doing this is beyond me. I do not understand the naivety of distilleries not properly utilising the marketing opportunity as they present it in the most valuable place and space possible, the front of the bottle. Well done, Arran. I've reviewed Arran a number of times. I'll be reviewing it again early in 2025, and I have absolute I'm absolutely sure, beyond doubt, that it will have the same integrity of delivery and quality of every previous bottle. You don't get bad bottles of 10-year-old Isle of Arran. I've never had one. I doubt I ever will. Because this distillery really knows what they're doing and treats their customers with respect. All you other Scotch whisky distilleries that are generating online conversation by the inconsistency of the quality of your delivery, you need to take note of this, because this is starting to really impact your sales. Arran don't have that problem. Well done, Arran. Congratulations. Congratulations in 30 years in delivering us some excellent whiskies at affordable prices in bottles and presentations and branding, which is consistently appearing in the online Scotch Whisky Awards for a very simple reason. It deserves to be there and it's earned it. Scotch Whisky Distillery, please take note, because we, your customers, will let you know what we think of your product every time you check your till and your sales figures. Because we're going to be walking away from the brands that fail to deliver the quality and the integrity at the right price. That is our prerogative and our right to do so. And 2025 is a year that we will certainly exercise that right. You have been warned, so please take note. Malt mates, I think that'll do for a whiskey for the year video. Where can it? Oh, it's a little bit tall. I'll stick it up there. There we go. I look forward to seeing you in 2025. A different angle in the bothy, fresh jacket, different colour, some new bonnets, and I'll be focusing on independent bottlings, quality, presentations from smaller distilleries. I'll be reviewing a few more rums, yes I will, and other spirits. I'm going global. I don't feel the need to stick exclusively to Scotch single malt anymore, because at the end of the day, I buy everything I review. And in the rare, very rare occasions I don't, I have complete and full disclosure in that. Thanks, malt mates, and I hope that you have a damn good 2025 and make it work for you.